Alright, so folks, we're going to be having a look at what we call full stack development. Now, full stack simply means that you are in control from everything from the user interface and the user experience right the way through to the backend servers, databases and server-side scripting languages. And I thought I'd put this little video together just to show you how it actually works, where PHP, MySQL, Apache, all the things that you would be getting when you download MAMP and install that on your laptop, how all that works together. And so we're going to be looking at full stack development. Here you are sitting on your computer, your laptop somewhere, and you want to view a web page. So what happens is your computer actually goes and makes a request. Now at this point, everything is what we call client side. So anything that happens, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all happen on the browser inside your computer. And so that request is then pushed out onto the internet, the cloud, if you will. And then that request the internet does all sorts of things like figure out where that request should go based on the address that you typed in. And eventually what it does is it actually lands at what we call a server. Now the term server is quite ambiguous. The server can be a piece of hardware like you see on this sketch. It doesn't have to be a particular computer. It could be one of many computers that serve files, serve web pages, serve whatever. You can imagine that when you go to Google, it's not just a computer sitting in a room somewhere, but many thousands of computers that are actually going to take that request and respond to that request. So the server can actually talk about the hardware itself, server hardware, but we can actually use server, the term, to talk about the services that run on that hardware. And that's where Apache and PHP, etc. come in. So what actually happens on the server side then is we requested a web page, so we're going to be using Apache. Now there are many different types of, or different versions of a web server. Apache is just one of them. It happens to be the most popular. But you could also use another one called Nginx or Caddy, or even Microsoft has one called IIS, Internet Information Services. But Apache is by far the most common web server out there. Now what happens is Apache gets your request, and that request, the page that it reads from the disk of the server, has PHP code in it. And Apache doesn't actually know what to do with PHP. And so it has installed on the same machine or on a different machine a PHP interpreter. Now, when Apache doesn't understand the PHP, it passes it off to the PHP interpreter. PHP interpreter's job is to convert the code, the PHP code, into HTML to give back to Apache. But in doing so, what it might do is it may actually talk to a database run by the MySQL server. So once Apache passes off to PHP, PHP then might query a database, and then that query returns some sort of result back to PHP in the form of data. Now PHP has everything it needs to actually assemble the HTML, which is what it's going to do as it passes back to Apache. Oops, went the wrong way. There we go. So it's going to push back HTML. Now PHP can write anything. PHP can write CSS, PHP can write JavaScript, and we'll look at this when we actually do our little tutorial over the next few videos. So the HTML, etc. is passed back to Apache. Apache's now happy. There's nothing it doesn't understand there. And so Apache sends out through the server a response in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That response then gets pushed back to your client, to your laptop, and your browser can then interpret the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. And that's the whole process. Now what we're going to get you to do, if you haven't already done it, is install MAMP, M-A-M-P. I think it stands for Mac, Apache, MySQL, PHP. In the old days, but of course it's available on any operating system, not just the Mac these days. But you're going to install MAMP, and what that actually essentially does is takes this whole process and runs it all on your own laptop. And so your laptop will be the client side, but it will also be the server. So MAMP will run up what we call an instance of Apache. It has the PHP interpreter and another instance of MySQL server. And your laptop will actually act like the server side as well as being the client. Your browser will talk to your own computer and keep it all in-house. And that's basically the way this is going to work. Next step would be to have a look at the videos on how to install MAMP for both Windows and Mac, and then we can actually get into some coding. Thanks.